Australia is a fascinating continent. As the driest continent in the world apart from Antarctica, it's no surprise that Australia is home to the second largest desert of the inhabited Earth's continents, remaining only behind the Sahara of Northern Africa in scale and scope.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan and I'm a former Royal Marines Commando from the United Kingdom. Today we're going to be reacting to why there's a CIA base in the central of Australia. Before we get into it, like, share and subscribe to the channel, troops. Join the Patreon if you want to help me out a little bit more, and stick around for future content. I'll see you in the comments, troops.
Great Australian Desert spans more than a third of the continent and is larger in size than the entirety of Kazakhstan. And it's partially because of this desert that Australia itself, despite being the sixth largest country in the world in terms of land, is only the 53rd largest in terms of people, with a modest population of less than 26 million citizens.
Yeah, it comes down to the fact that a lot of that land is absolutely desolate, guys, all right? You would not want to, or even try to survive in some of the hostile environments there, you know, the heat in one area and just the sheer lack of anything in others, all right? It's pretty desolate in most of it. That explains it, really.
We're around the same size as North Korea, but within this vast, inhospitable, and empty desert, at the precise geographic center of the Australian continent, exists a surprising and relatively unknown secret of enormous geopolitical importance. One of the largest overseas military bases of the United States of America.
Right, this never ceases to amaze me. America has literally got its knuckles in everywhere. What are they doing in the center of Australia, in the middle of, you know, one of the most inhospitable places on the planet? Honestly, guys, that's why I love the States, all right? I absolutely love them.
Operated by the Central Intelligence Agency, the National Security Administration, and the National Reconnaissance Office with a full 800 combined personnel.
Why are we there? Because we can.
Base is located nearby to the small Australian town of Alice Springs. Population just 26,000 or so people. But besides for that, there is no larger town that exists anywhere nearby to this base, within a zone of about 700,000 square kilometers.
That's insane. When I was in America training with the US Marines in the Mojave Desert, that area was something similar to the M25, or inside the M25, which in the UK is where London is pretty much situated. So it encompassed a massive area. So you guys are pretty used to, you know, spending time on military bases in the middle of nowhere and actually making it work really well for you. Okay, so yeah, this doesn't surprise me in that sense, all right?
Roughly equivalent in area to the US state of Texas. So to say that this American intelligence base, with hundreds of American intelligence officers operating within the dead center of Australia, is a remote location would be an incredible understatement.
Yeah, Texas is huge as well, so to equivalent that in size, phenomenal, man.
From the small Australian town of Alice Springs, if you take a short drive just 10 minutes or so to the southwest, you'll quickly run into various threatening signs like this one warning you to turn your car around and proceed no further, or else face some vague consequences.
Face death and destruction, but just death.
Just beyond these signs is, of course, the top-secret joint intelligence base of Pine Gap, run by both the American and Australian governments.
Wow, that really is in the middle of nowhere. We've got, as far as I can gather, one area, one road system in to the left here. I mean, obviously you've got the surrounding tracks and stuff, but in terms of actual roads, you've got one in. Obviously multiple tracks around the base. That's phenomenal. And really, really remote. There's a bit of greenery there too. Wow.
And unless you've watched the Netflix series about this base going under the same name, you've probably never even heard of this place, or knew that such an important American operation existed in the middle of the Australian outback. And going under the more official codename of Project Rainfall, it has a very long and mysterious history here, going back decades into the past. You see, as the global Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union intensified during the 1960s, both nations began sending up satellites into space. With the launching of the earliest intelligence-gathering satellites, there was a recognition that real-time command and control over these platforms were necessary, and data collection to monitor geopolitical adversaries from afar was required. An American base to operate these American intelligence and spy satellites operating over the planet's eastern hemisphere could have theoretically been constructed anywhere, but the precise geographic center of the Australian continent was chosen for a number of strategically important factors.
Right, I'm trying my best to think why that would be, but the only thing I can come up with, it's the only remote land space that enables them to launch whatever they need to launch into space directly above them. That's the only thing. And again, I'm not really too clued up on this, but that would be, I mean, just look at the map here. It's quite a unique area. Yeah, I'm just going to go, it's remote enough to be, I don't know, let's find out.
First, the sheer isolation of such a base deep within the continental interior of Australia, more than 900 kilometers away from the nearest coastline, ensured that any potential spy ships from foreign nations passing around would be incapable of intercepting any of the signals coming down to the base from the satellites. Second, the base would be located deep within Australia, a country who is very friendly and allied towards the United States, and far away from any major Australian population centers around the coasts.
Yeah, so in terms of like terrorist threats and stuff like that, it would be significantly reduced, and the reason being is the fact that it's so isolated. And in terms of how America conducts themselves with regards surveillance and monitoring of their security systems and military bases in general, I'd imagine this area has a heightened level of security. So if anything was to be coming close to this base that shouldn't be, they've got a lot of early warning signs that would enable them to spring into action the right security response to be able to make sure that that threat is eliminated well and truly before, in advance of it actually arriving at its destination. So it's a very, very significant destination, and thankful to Australia for doing the right thing and allowing America to utilize this. The reason I like America is because, you know, their security is my security is their security. We're all in this together, and I'd rather be on their side than against the narrative with them, if that makes sense.
And third, and perhaps most importantly, the location where the station would be built required the base of the floor and surrounding hills to not exceed 6 degrees. At the precise coordinates of Pine Gap's location in the center of Australia at latitude 23.8 degrees south and longitude 133.74 degrees east, the ability would be gained to allow for high connectivity with satellites stationed as far as 60 degrees east and as far east as 153 degrees west.
All right, I'm a little bit lost on this, but we're just going to go with the troops. If you know any of this terminology, please consider dropping a comment below. Helps with the algorithm too.
Effectively covering the entirety of China, North Korea, the Indian subcontinent, and a significant portion of the then Soviet Union. In short, it was a very logically chosen location to construct a satellite intelligence base at. And as a result, by late 1966, the American and Australian government signed a treaty calling for the creation of a US satellite surveillance base in Australia, which eventually became the modern Pine Gap, where operations began in 1970 with the relocation of hundreds of American families to the center of the outback.
That's pretty cool. I remember similar stories of British personnel who've been sent over to Australia to work with the Australian military and stuff. These exchanges do take place even to this day, all right? It's a very close-knit community is Australia, America, and the UK. We do get on really really well. I've worked with Australians myself, and they're just the same with us. You know, they've just got a bit of a dodgy accent, that's all.
But there was another larger intelligence alliance at work here that led to the creation of the base as well. Known as the Five Eyes, this is an intelligence alliance of the 5 major English-speaking democracies around the world of the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Created during the fires of the Second World War and expanded during the Cold War, this alliance structure enables all member states' intelligence agencies to easily cooperate with each other and share all of their worldwide data. As the Cold War continued to rage and new threats to the United States emerged, like the People's Republic of China, Vietnam, and later on, Iraq and Afghanistan, Pine Gap continued to play a pivotal role in providing intelligence while dramatically growing in size to the point where today it boasts nearly 40 separate antennas across the site and has operated at least 9 geosynchronous satellites owned by various US spy agencies over the past 45 years.
That's insane, guys. It's absolutely insane. I mean, just seeing how that looks and it's annotated on there. Phenomenal.
Now, what makes these kinds of satellites uniquely well suited to the mission of intelligence gathering is that within a geosynchronous orbit, they travel in the same direction as the Earth's rotation, and therefore retain the exact same orbital period as that of the Earth's rotation.
Wow.
Which effectively just means that they view the exact same portion of the Earth's surface at all times, as if they're sort of fixed in position on the map. This is in stark contrast to satellites that operate in lower Earth orbits, which circle around the planet often multiple times a day, and move at a relative pace much faster. One of the unique advantages of a geosynchronous orbit for a spy satellite is that within this range, it can see an enormous amount of the Earth's surface all at once. In fact, if you were to go and do all the math and run the calculations for this, it turns out to be just a tad bit less than half of the Earth's entire surface.
It's absolutely mind-blowing. These things, I wonder how much clutter's up there in terms of like actual ordnance, actual infrastructure. It's got to be really crowded up there now, right? Unless I'm wrong.
This, of course, makes it incredibly easy for the spy satellite above to gather a vast amount of information from a very large area beneath it.
Wait, can these things zoom in and view Earth? I know that some of the intelligence agencies around the planet have certain abilities similar to that, but just how effective is it? I mean, we see things in the movies and stuff about being able to zoom in to see people's faces and stuff. Is that accurate in terms of what that's able to do, or am I missing the point entirely?
And so today, there are 3 of these types of geosynchronous spy satellites known to be operated from Pine Gap, all at the same line of latitude. Orion 5 above the Western Indian Ocean, Orion 7 at the western tip of the Indonesian island of Sumatra, and Orion 3 just west of the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. Each of these 3 geosynchronous satellites sit at an altitude of about 36,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface at these precise coordinates, and they each collect an incredibly wide range of electronic signals from the Earth's surface beneath them, like radio communications, radar emissions, microwave transmissions, missile telemetry, satellite and cell phone transmissions, and even more. These 3 satellites effectively grant American intelligence agencies, and therefore the intelligence of all the Five Eyes member states, an incredible degree of satellite coverage across every single area of modern U.S. critical strategic concern. From Western Africa, across the Middle East, Ukraine, Russia, Iran, Afghanistan, China, and North Korea.
That's a lot of hot spots there, guys. A lot of areas that you can understand why America is certainly America, and other countries, English-speaking countries for that matter, like Australia and New Zealand, would want to have that information to them. We've got Western Africa, Ukraine, Middle East, Iran, Afghan, China, Russia, North Korea, all hotspots really where information would be key and critical to certain things that we are involved with. And obviously war is one of those things.
Than half of the Earth's surface outside of the polar regions.
Right, I wonder if these are the 3 known satellites. I think there's going to be more of these to cover the rest of the planet, guys. I don't believe that those are the only ones that cover that area. There's a lot more Earth to be covered as well. I think there's probably more of these knocking about.
Once data from these regions is received by the satellites, their information is relayed via a signal back to the Pine Gap base in the center of Australia, and then disseminated from there towards the various intelligence agencies of the Five Eyes member states, like the American CIA and British MI6.
Wow.
And while controversial at times, the American intelligence capabilities that are granted by satellite sites around the world like Pine Gap are unmatched by any other intelligence agency in the world.
That can't be argued. Troops, that's literally phenomenal. I mean, we would be... Well, I mean, MI6 would probably not work and operate as smoothly as it does without America's help in terms of that actual base. I wonder if we've got troops, British troops based over there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, guys.
And while most of what these satellites do is top secret and highly classified, we all know that launching those satellites, maintaining them up there, and gathering all that data from the surface below is an incredibly difficult feat to accomplish. And if you're anything like me, then you're probably curious how satellites like these actually work, and more to the point, how anything actually works. Understanding the difficult to understand is the very essence of STEM fields. But for a lot of us, myself included, STEM subjects like engineering and math and make the seemingly impossible possible have never come as easy to understand. But luckily, we can all get our own little dose of scientific learning every day now from Brilliant. Whether you're looking to learn something completely new or you're just trying to brush up on a few topics,
Right, troops, I believe that is the last. She's got a little bit of an ad there. Original link to the channel's videos will be in the description as always. Thanks to that channel for allowing us to react to these videos. You know, I'm really appreciative of that. Why there's a CIA base in the centre of Australia? Well, it's a lot of intelligence agencies rely on that information, so that's why. And it was strategically one of the better locations on the planet to be able to do that. So, fantastic video, guys. If you liked it, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'm really eager to tell you some good news. I've got some good news, guys, but I'm not allowed to say anything just yet. So stay tuned for more content and obviously that news in the coming weeks and months. I am so looking forward to it, guys. But if you want to help me out a little bit more, please consider joining the Patreon. Link is in the description. It really does help me make videos like this every single day. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time.